So today is, I'm trying to show you how to make selections in Photo Pea. One of the most frustrating things that I have happen when I'm doing stuff in Photo Pea is, in Photoshop also, is I'm just trying to select something. I'm like, this is the thing I want right here, and you try to click on that and it won't work because the way things are in Illustrator and Canva and a lot of other programs, it's like, here is this item, click on that item, that's all I want to do, all right? But in Photoshop, layers are way more important, okay? Layers exist in Illustrator, but you don't have to use them as much as you do in Photoshop and Photo Pea, right? So I've got this website that I found, I believe this is on the Photo Pea website, talking about some of the different types of selections that they have. The rectangle select, ellipse, which is a fancy word for a squished circle, lasso, polygon, and magnetic lasso, all right? So there is a description of all of these. I've got this included in the Schoology page. All right, and if you go down to your, this is week 12 that we're in, and go into the Photo Pea folder, you will see this file. So we're gonna open up this file for our dog, all right? Now you can either download it here, or you can download it here, all right? So just click on that and it will download. I'm gonna click the X to get rid of this, and I'm gonna go into Photo Pea. I can either go File, Open, or I can choose to do Open from Computer, all right? So this is going to be saved in your folder wherever it is that you have downloaded stuff. So for me, it's in the Downloads folder. This is a picture of a dog. I believe we have named him Alfie, okay? So here is my picture of a dog, and I'm going to use some of these different selections. All those different things that we saw were over here. I've got the rectangle, ellipse, lasso, polygon, magnetic, all right? So when you are dealing with stuff in Photo Pea, all of these, when you zoom in really, really close, okay, you can see all of the pixels. That is what the design is made out of, is just all these different pixels. So you are selecting, number one, you're selecting whatever pixels you're working with, and number two, you are selecting those pixels on that layer, all right? So if we look over here, this is our layers panel. If you don't have this, if you go up to Window and then go down to Layers, you will find it, all right? So I'm going to start out with my rectangle select, and all I do is just click and drag. So now I am messing with, you can see the dotted lines, okay? They don't move like they do in Photoshop, but these marching ants is what they're referred to sometimes with these little coupon dotted lines here, all right? So all of that is my selection. I am selecting this on this layer, all right? And then I'll do it the long way this time. I'll do it the shortcut on all the rest. If you go to Layer, New, Layer via Copy. So I'm creating a new layer from those pixels that I have selected. So here, and if I click the eye here, I can see there is the picture that I'm looking for, okay? So all of that is fine. All right, so now I'm good. That's great. I've got my selection there, and for this assignment, I want to show all of those selections. So if I go back over here, I've got that selection made, and I'm going to go over here and change this to my ellipse select. And when I click and drag out, I'm going to make my selection, and I can even move with my arrow keys if I want to make some modification there. All right, and I'm going to do Control J again. Control J again. And you will see, if I go over here and turn off my eyes on this, that there is a line cut off up here and a line cut off up here, okay? Because the problem is you did not change what layer you were selecting from. So I'm going to do Control Z to go back, but you can see where my lines, where it's cut off there and there, it's because when I made that copy, I was only on this layer, on layer 1. All right, so I'm going to do Control Z to go back. Control Z to go back to, that's fine. So I've got my circle there, and then make sure that you have the dog layer selected. And then I do Control J, which is the shortcut to make a new layer via copy. All right, if I turn off my eye here and here, I can see. I've already named this one dog. On layer 2, we're going to call this one circle. And on this one here, we're going to call this one rectangle. That's fine. So now I'm going to go back to my dog. Let's turn that eye off, turn that eye on. So I'm only messing with the dog. These are here, but we're not. I'm just trying to show when you turn in this file that you know how to do all 5 of these things. So the circle, rectangle, I'm on my dog layer. I'm going to go over here to the lasso. Now the way the lasso works is if I just click and hold and draw a circle or a shape, whatever I want to do, and come back around when I let go, then it makes that design, all right? It's not as clean or crisp as some of the other options, but it does, depending on what situation you're in, that might work, all right? I'm also about to do something that's called Control D. If you go up here to the top where it says select, you can see that deselect is Control D. All right, so that's a good shortcut to remember. So I'm going to use the lasso tool again, get something a little bit better. It's still not fantastic, but we're doing what we can. That's fine. And I'm going to do Control J. All right, and I'm going to rename this one Lasso. All right, and I'll turn off that layer just so you can see what that looks like. Go back to your dog layer. And one other thing I want to show you with the lasso before I move on. So what it does is it has to have a closed shape. Let me pull myself up here. It has to have a closed shape. So as you click and draw around, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to just let go. So I'm holding the mouse right now. When I let go, it's going to draw a line from your end point and your beginning point and just connect those in a straight line. All right, so because it doesn't know what to do with an open object. And so it's just like, let's go back to the beginning. All right, he said to go back to the beginning. This is where we got the job. This is the beginning. All right, so it goes back to the beginning to get started. So that's fine. But we've already done one that's the lasso layer, so we don't need that anymore. So we're going to Control D to deselect. All right, my next one, I'm on my dog layer, making sure I'm on my dog layer. Click on this, and this one is the polygon lasso. Polygon, this works kind of like the pen tool. You just click, and that gives me kind of an anchor point, and I can draw lines like this. I'm just doing straight lines as I go around. Okay, and again, it depends on the situation, depends on what you're trying to achieve as to whether or not this is the best one to do. All right, and one of the tricks with this is you've got to go back and click on that original point. It looked like I was, but I missed it. Okay, so you got to go back and actually click on that spot. It's very picky about that. So now I've got that done, and I can do Control J to make that layer. Let's go back over here and call this polygon. All right, go back to my dog layer. And the last one I have, so polygon is good depending on the situation, and you can draw mostly in straight lines like that, okay? So my last one that I want to do is the magnetic lasso, okay? Magnetic lasso actually looks at the picture. See, when you're looking at a picture and you see me, all right, the color of my hair and the background is kind of similar. The color of my shirt and the background is kind of similar, but you can see a definition here. And so if I was going around with it, the computer can look at those pixels and go, all of this together kind of looks like a shape. This over here kind of looks like a shape. I'm going to say this is dog. I mean, it doesn't identify it as dog, but it identifies this as a shape and it identifies this as a shape, okay? So it kind of does a little bit of AI intelligence to try to see what you're trying to do, okay? So that's what we're doing here with the magnetic lasso. So go to the magnetic lasso. And this, how much time you spend on this will give you a better product, all right? So if I just start going, you'll see where it's like, oh, that's a leg right there. That's got to be a dog. I know what this is. I know what this is. It's going to get confused as we go around some of these parts here. And there are things that you can do to modify your selection and change it. Okay, so I'm going to be careful. I'm trying to get his ears. I cut off his ears earlier. It was very sad. I'm sorry, Alfie. Well, I'm sorry, past Alfie. Present Alfie looks like he's doing okay. All right, so I'm just adding more clicks here as I'm going around. I'm holding down spacebar to move there. Alt and scroll is how you zoom in and out. I've talked about that in previous videos, but I have not talked about that here. So I'm going around, trying to take my time, trying to do a good job for the internet. Okay, trying to not cut off his leg or his ears. And I got a little bit more of the grass than I wanted to there, but that's okay. Because on this assignment, I'm really just looking to see that you understand this concept. Okay, all right. So now I've got that selection. And there are things that you can do like refine edge and other stuff. We're not getting in that today. I'm just looking at what these 5 types of things do here. Okay, so once again, I'm going to do Control J. That makes a copy of that. And I'm going to call this one magnet. Okay, so when I open this up, I want to see a layer here. I'll turn off these eyes. Okay, so when I see this, here's the dog. And I can see, yep, they know how to do a rectangle. They know how to do a circle. They know how to do a lasso, they know how to do a polygon, and they know how to do a magnet, okay? And you see all the different results I got from those 5 different types, okay? And then the other thing is I want you to change the name of this because in doing this assignment like this, I can tell that number 1, you understand how to do layer via copy, you understand how to use these selection devices, you understand how to change the name on a layer, all right? And I'm also looking to make sure that you understand how to change what your selection is, because you wouldn't be able to do these correctly if you did not go back to that original layer every time, okay? So that is what I'm looking for on this assignment. If you are, I got this picture off of Google if you're watching this video and you don't have access to the file that I'm doing here, but these 5 concepts are things that you can do. The other one that is kind of bonus, it's not a part of this assignment, is the quick select tool. I'll show that real quick just since we're on YouTube here. This is not a part of the assignment. You don't have to do this one, but quick select, we've got magic wand here that does a certain thing. Quick select would also work fairly well. Yeah, it worked okay. All right, and it kind of got a little confused about his legs and the grass here, and so you can hold down Alt and deselect, okay? And I can zoom in, and I can make this a little bit smaller, okay? You see how it's picking up some stuff that I don't want it to pick up. So depending on the picture, the previous assignment that we did with the rows, that worked perfectly. You could just click with the direct select tool and you were done, all right? But having the flexibility, knowing what these different tools do, because depending on the situation, you might need to have something different to help you with that selection.